This video will contain spoilers from the world and story of Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero. Please beware. Over the last couple of months, Subnautica Below Zero has been steadily receiving updates to its story, its world, and its narrative. Most of these were super cool, giving us new areas of the world to explore, new NPCs to interact with, and new horrifying creatures to contend with. However, when it comes to something that is clearly very important to Unknown Worlds Entertainment, with this second installment in the Subnautica franchise, the story itself, well, the reception has kind of been mixed. I've noticed this in the comments of my videos as well, but also in blog posts and on forums where some people are clearly enjoying the direction the story is taking, but others seem to just not really like it as much as the first game. Now, regardless of which of these two camps you stand in, and maybe you're indifferent, and that's fine, it seems that even the team itself at Unknown Worlds was not exactly super happy with the direction the main story was taking. Approximately 1 week ago, the project lead David Kalina has made a blog post basically telling us that there are going to be some major changes when it comes to Subnautica Below Zero's story, and well, today we're gonna go through that blog post, discuss some of the changes that are coming to the story, what this means for the eventual release date, what that means for the stuff that's in the game right now, and I'll also give you my opinion on this whole situation and whether I think this was a smart decision for them to make. Now, if you're interested in reading the blog post for yourself, I will of course leave the link down in the description below, but with that, let's just hop right in and see what this is all about. Now, first of all, let me start by reading a little bit from the blog post itself, just to set a base for where they're coming from. David Kalina said, "Despite our best efforts, we're not exactly where we want to be, particularly when it comes to the story. When we decided to make another Subnautica game, we agreed that making a game with a living story, featuring speaking protagonists and other active speaking characters, would be a really interesting way to differentiate Below Zero from the original game. Now clearly this is something we have all picked up upon already since the beginning of Subnautica Below Zero. I mean, it is clear that they tried taking a very different direction from what the first game was, especially considering the first game kinda just dropped you into the world, and other than some timed prompts which kind of pushed you in the right direction, you were free to explore the world and progress the story at your own leisure. It's not like there were many points where the game particularly pushed you in a specific direction, or really demanded that you do something. But here, the story is clearly different. In Below Zero, it looks like the characters are trying to guide your hand a lot more, you get a lot more conversations, in fact you have a literal speaking protagonist. And on top of that, you get other characters that take presence in the world, whether that be Altera that you're constantly communicating with, or other characters that appear later. For example, and this is a spoiler, so skip like 10 seconds ahead if you don't want anything spoiled, Marguerite or Alan later in the story. Now, while some people find it very exciting to interact with these characters and be able to talk to them and basically get to know them, some others felt that the story was taking quite too much of a linear approach, often pushing you in a specific direction and not really making you feel like you can explore this world and take it all in at your own pace. On one hand, from a game designer perspective, this makes sense. You don't want your players to get lost in your open world and drop off out of interest, so you'd like to push them to what is exciting in your world. You want to show them the cutscenes, you want to show them the story. But on the other hand, what always made Subnautica amazing was that you could explore at your own pace. If you wanted to spend the next 2 days just building a cool habitat in one of the biomes, you could have done that and there would be nothing pressuring you to do otherwise. So I kind of understand the split in the player base. Now on top of that, David outlines that unfortunately Tom Joubert, their writer, had recently left the Below Zero team to pursue other projects. Now as it so happens, apparently he was responsible for most of what we know and love about the Subnautica universe, the lore, and the story itself. So here's a team, their main writer had left, and they're not exactly happy about where the story is at the moment. So what are they going to do? Well, I think they're going to do what is the smartest choice for them to do, and that is make some big changes to the story and find a new writer, and luckily they've already managed to start on both of them. Very recently, a new writer/narrative designer named Jill Murray had joined the team. And Jill is someone who had worked on some pretty major stuff in the past. I mean, we're talking like the Tomb Raider franchise and the Assassin's Creed franchise, so they definitely know what they're doing. And supposedly, so far, they've been doing a great job making adjustments to the story and where it will take the player once it is eventually released. So, as it stands right now, what will be happening is, quoting, the upcoming deep dive release, which, by the way, had just released several days ago, will be the last version of the current story, and they will be shipping a new story to the public next year. Of course, this is a big statement. What does this mean? Where does this leave the current world? Where does this leave the characters that are in the current world? Is all of that going to be changed? Well, not exactly. David says that even though they will be adjusting the story, and just from the blog post I'm getting the feeling that there will be some major adjustments, they still have to work within the constraints of the world that they've created. We are not moving away from Sector 0. In fact, presumably most of the biomes that are already in the game, together with the creatures, will probably be there to stay. What will mostly be changing is probably how the story is paced and how some of the characters that you get to interact with in the story are written. Supposedly, a part of this is coming from a problem they've had with defining character motivations and why they do what they do. I mean, even without spoiling anything, there has definitely been a group of people, a quite large group of people, that did not exactly like how some of the characters have been handled. On the other hand, however, some others were, I think, a very pleasant surprise, so presumably those will not be changing this much. Now, where does that leave us, just to finish this off? Is all the lore that we've heard so far going to be changed? Are we perhaps going to get new characters? Well, we don't know, and obviously David does not exactly want to spoil a lot. However, chances are, a lot of the lore that we've discussed regarding the story of Subnautica Below Zero so far might end up being changed quite heavily. In my opinion, what is most likely going to happen is that they will keep a large number of the characters they currently have and simply rework how they're introduced to the story, how they interact with you as the player, and how you get to know them and maybe become familiar with them. And on top of this, they will probably be changing how the story is given to the player, how it is layered, at what points you are given specific prompts to do things, and on the other hand, at what point you're just given the time to take in the world and explore at your own pace. So, just to end this off, I for one am very excited for this. I understand that it is a hard choice to make, but at the end of the day, I am always happy with a game taking perhaps a bit longer or changing stuff over if they believe it is the best choice for the game and if it will end up in a better experience for all of us. Does this mean that the story release will be delayed? Most likely. Does this mean that you will lose your current save file and your progress in the story? Most definitely. But hey, if as a result we end up getting something amazing, well, I for one think it's definitely worth it. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little different than the usual lore that we do, just wanting to give out some of my opinions and get you guys up on what's going on in the Subnautica development cycle. But I still hope that you guys found it interesting and are hopefully looking forward to the new story that we'll be getting somewhere in 2020 just as much as I am. If you have any opinions on this, or you would like to express what you think you would like to see in the story coming forward, I mean, let's be honest, Subnautica has always been open to listening to feedback. Make sure to leave down in the comments. I would very much like to read what you guys would like to see in the new iteration of the story. With that, I'm gonna wish you all a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.